Welcome to the Shannon Wheeler Podcast. After spending 30 years in the housing industry, I have come to understand that there are two things that I love to talk about. One of those is real estate, and the other one is people. And so this is a show that is going to focus on those two things. Real estate and all the things that go on in the real estate markets, because it's of a lot of interest to me, and people, because I've learned, if nothing else, over 30 years' time, that every business is truly a people business. Thank you for spending some time with us.
So, regardless of how you got here, now you are in the business of helping people through some really challenging questions in life, just administering their affairs and different things that are going on. And so, specifically in the trust and will department, there's a lot of people, I think, that have questions about this area. They don't really know where to get started. They don't really know kind of what they may need. My daughter did a TEDx talk not too long ago where she asked the question or basically pointed out that time in life when you don't know what you don't know. And so I think that's what, like me, for example, I've never been this age before, and you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So I think one of the things I would want you to share with everybody first is just, what are some of the common myths, that you run into in the estate planning world? Questions that you get. What are some of the common myths?
Probably the most common one is I need to do a will because I don't want the state to get it,
Okay, so they're concerned with the government coming for their assets. That's okay.
And I mean that is so far from any reality. As someone who does a lot of probate work, I can tell you have relatives somewhere. You may not realize it, but you do. We will find them. We will get them. So the state is the only way the estate is going to take anything from your estate is if sometimes we can maybe identify an heir, but we can't locate them.
Okay.
So if you ever see those commercials about unclaimed property.
Yeah.
So again, the state is not in the business of, oh, thanks, we'll add this to the coffers. It goes to unclaimed property, and it's up to that heir or that heir's heirs to find it one day. But I hear that one a lot. The other one is I want to create a trust so the nursing home doesn't take the house, or something like that.
So it's interesting. The first one I'd not really thought about. I always default to the second one, which is, hey, if I'm in the nursing home or I have 10, I received some government benefit that I'm now afraid is going to be taken back or something like that.
Yep.
But I didn't think about the first one, which just is the state may come just take my stuff and it not go to my heirs or not, I never really thought about that as an option.
Right.
That's interesting.
And what I tell the client is like, listen, the state's not going to take it, but they will tell us who gets it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have a will, because if you don't have an estate plan, the state of Tennessee has one for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not that they want it, but they will tell you. And then the other one is, I don't want the nursing home to take the home. And there's different ways to go down that road. We probably aren't going to have time about it today, but what I try to remind them is the nursing home, quote unquote, they're not going to take your house while you're alive. They're not even going to touch the house as long as your spouse is still there. No one's going to be bothered if you rack up $200,000 in TennCare.
Mm-hmm.
Not while you and or your spouse are alive.
Yeah.
Now, what happens after that, like I said, probably another day, another show. But the nursing home's not coming to take the house.
Yeah. Now under that category, since it's one of those things that I think it's one of those things that's at the forefront of people's minds, but they just don't really understand it or know exactly what to kind of do or how to approach it. All they really think in their mind is, I want to try to avoid this terrible consequence I've heard about my whole life. So under that category, what would you suggest somebody do? let's say you are of a certain age, fill in the blank, and this is a thing that you have or a consideration or you have parent, like what would you tell people to do? What should they do?
Well, specific to the nursing
Yeah,
home
so if
thing.
that's a concern of yours or a fear of yours, what is the reality?
Yeah, well, one thing I do try to explain is say, look, statistically speaking, the odds are you're not going to ever have to worry about some bill that's due that's going to have to be paid. I mean, that's just the odds
Yeah.
of you needing that kind of long term care. Um, that would rack up a bill of that much consequence. So you try to, but if you've been through it or if you've had a loved one go through it, that's the statistics don't mean much. And so
Good point.
so then you talk about what are options. There are options. There are certain trusts that you can create called Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, but essentially where you can, for lack of a better phrase on this, make yourself poor on paper so that you're eligible for Medicaid TennCare, and then that's not part of your estate when you pass. But there are big trade-offs to that, and so we talk about that, with the client. That I know this sounds great, but there's give and take to this.
Yeah. So why should someone consider a trust beyond just regular estate planning, such as a will? Because I don't know that everybody needs one, or it's like I think everybody thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I know there have been times in my life where I'm like, I need a trust, and it's like then I think about it, I'm like, I mean, yes, but not this minute. Like, I mean, but when is it that why should someone consider it and have the conversation?
So that would probably be the third myth I would have said, because it kind of shoehorns into this. The third myth is I need to get a will so my estate doesn't have to go through probate. Wrong. A will almost in essence guarantees that we will go through probate, because that's what our society, that's our way of vetting, saying this is a valid will. We have creditors, they need to get paid. These are the people that it goes to. So we really need to go through that process.
I gotcha.
Now, if they don't like probate, a trust is a way to avoid probate. That's probably the number one reason people do a trust, is they just don't like the idea of it. Maybe they've had a bad experience. And there's lots of different reasons why they may not want to go through probate. But a trust, if done correctly and with proper advice and counsel, if we do it right, we can avoid probate. And so that's a nice advantage. Other reasons that are popular, if I'm dealing with blended families, that can be a little sticky, because there can be concern there. What happens if one of us passes? I've got kids from this marriage, you have kids from this prior. Maybe we really want to make sure that no one kind of gets that idea later, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a trust can be a good way to address it there. For really wealthy individuals, which now with the new, it was originally in the 2015 legislation, it got made permanent in the last big beautiful bill. Now a married couple or even an individual, you have to be worth $15 million as an individual, $30 million as a married couple to worry about estate taxes. That's just not going to affect most people that you and I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not hanging out with those folks too much.
Yeah.
I have a few clients. So if we're doing that, we're going to create irrevocable trust to get some assets out of their estate. So we're not paying Uncle Sam 40 cents on the dollar for every dollar over that. But again, for most folks, it's just not really a consideration. Maybe another reason is you have a child with special needs.
Okay.
That's another good reason to have a trust, because we don't want that child or that beneficiary to lose potential government benefits if they get an inheritance. So a trust is a good way to do that. The last one I would say is there are some tax advantages on basis that a lot of the clients, if they've got appreciating assets, I can pretty much, once they understand, once the light bulb clicks that I explain to them, the advantage there, a lot of people get excited about that.
Okay, so two things. One, for most people, let's say you're not on the extremely wealthy side, you're somewhere in between. You've accumulated some assets through your life. You're doing some estate planning. You want to kind of have everything move forward at your direction and avoid probate, all those things. What is kind of like, because there's different kinds of trusts for different situations, but what's the standard? Like, what's the, hey, I'm a retired school teacher and my spouse is a retired police officer and we've got 401ks and we own some property, and like, what's the standard? Just
There is none.
okay.
And I mean, there's not. I get that question.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody's situation is different.
Okay.
So if I've got the teacher and the cop, and almost all of their assets are tied up in a house and funds that have beneficiaries.
Okay.
And they got two kids, and the kids are 35, and they get along great, there's no issues.
Okay.
We're not going to do a trust.
Interesting. It's probably just not
we don't need it.
Yeah.
We don't need it. Let's take any different scenario there, and let's change that. Let's say one of the kids is just trouble.
Yeah.
They've just always been trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. And they know they're going to be trouble. And they know that if this goes through probate, they're going to enjoy making this difficult for the other sibling or whatever. Okay, well, then maybe we do a trust. And we just save all that heartache.
Right.
Because we don't have to go through. Probate is such a low bar to muck things up.
Okay.
What I always tell the client is the knucklehead, simply by being the knucklehead, can really cost you a lot of time and money in the probate process by just their sheer knuckleheadedness. They don't even have to try that hard.
Yeah.
They just have to be them.
It's like corporate sludge. It's like all the stuff you have to go through to unsubscribe from a subscription.
Yeah.
They're all that stuff.
The barrier's very low for the
costing
knucklehead.
money and junking it up. Yeah.
The barrier's very low for that knucklehead to really cost time and money. And so maybe it's just better to just avoid that. So that's so one little dynamic like that. Let's take another dynamic. Let's say that cop inherits a lake house.
Okay.
And let's say they inherited it 20 years ago. And let's say we've got massive appreciation. Let's go even different. Let's say they treat it as a rental property, and the cop loves being a landlord, but the wife doesn't.
Okay.
Okay. We've got $500,000 in appreciation over 20 years, right?
Okay.
Easy. That can easily happen, right? Probably
easily.
More.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know, the wife told me, husband said, if I'm dead, I know she's selling it. Okay, that's fair, right?
Yeah.
She can do that. But here's what she's going to have to do. She's going to have to pay 20% capital gains on that sale.
Yeah.
Because she's a co-owner of it. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, she'll get a half step up. So let's call it 10%.
Yeah.
But 10% of $500,000 is $50,000.
A lot of money.
What if I tell this couple that if we set up this certain type of trust, that exact same scenario, you die, I can completely wipe away the capital gains liability for your spouse. So they can sell it, no capital gains. They give it easy sell.
Huge tax advantages. That's the kind of planning and stuff that you want to employ with a trust, is to achieve some outcomes like that. So if you're out there and you've thought about trust, if you have end of life sort of decisions to start making as far as planning and estate planning, all those things, you've got taxes, you've got your assets to manage, you've got family relations. There's a lot that goes into it. First thing I'm going to tell you to do is contact Tab, because he's going to tell you exactly what you can and can't do, what you need to know. Then I think typically he'll agree that if he gives you all the information, people usually make really great decisions, and then he can help you follow through with it. So Tab, if you don't mind, tell them how to find you. I think you're looking right here. Tell them how to find you, and see if they need some help, they can get you.
I'm right next door.
Yeah.
So I'm with Tab Talbot Centerpoint Group Law Firm. You can Google us. We're 107 North Maple, literally next door. You can find our email, phone number 624-8773. That's all we do. That's what, I say all we do. Estate planning, business planning, probate. I mean, that's pretty much it. And, love doing it. And Appreciate the Shannon Wheeler bump.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, Randy was here. And He's going to be our new mayor. So,
and had
hoping to
somebody
get the
call
bump.
looking for you from the show. So love that, love that. Okay, good to see everyone. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for spending some time with us.